On behalf of the Connecticut River Valley Chamber, just want to welcome you today. We're doing an open discussion of professional services and reopening, and to discuss some of the issues that we may be confronting to conducting business with our clients, keeping our employees, ourselves, and our customers and clients safe and healthy. So Paul Haas is going to be facilitating today. Paul is with the Haas Agency and he's chairman of the board of the chamber. And thank you all for being here very much. Paul.
As I said before, it's great to see you all. We miss one another in person, but this is a great way to get together. I'd like to just have people go around the room since some people may not know one another. I'll just call your name out. If you just tell us your name, the industry, and maybe what town you're in, and then we'll keep that short so that we can get to the questions, etc. I'll start with Tina.
Hi, so I am Tina Lorenzen. I am with the Chamber and we represent East Hartford, Glastonbury, and Marlborough.
Jason.
Is that me?
Hi. I'm Jason Hoeppner. I'm from Anderson Meyer Insurance, and we're on Main Street here in Glastonbury.
Great. Donna.
Hi, everyone. Donna Finicaro, Lotus Transitions, based in Marlborough, Connecticut.
Katie.
Hi, everyone. I'm Katie Bissonnette. I'm an attorney at Brown Panderas and Scott on Main Street in Glastonbury.
Dan.
Hey guys, my name is Dan Sardilia of Sardilia Insurance Agency. We do property casualty insurance in offices in Southington, Connecticut.
Ray.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ray Cola from Cola Law. I have an office here in Glastonbury on Hebron Avenue.
Great. Paul. You have to unmute, Paul.
Hello, my name is Paul Hoar. I'm with the Agri-Fuels Air Purification Technology here in Glastonbury.
Great. Travis.
Hi, I'm Travis Dahlke from the Chamber, representing Glastonbury, East Hartford, and Marlborough.
Wonderful. Lori.
Hey everyone, I'm here with Paul Davis Restoration out of Glastonbury, Connecticut.
Mike.
Hi, this is Michael Daniels. I'm the Economic Development Coordinator for the town of East Hartford.
Duncan.
Hi, I'm Duncan Olaechea. I work with Helper Insurance. I live here in Portland, Connecticut.
Tom.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. This is Tom Miles with ADT Commercial Security. I am also living here in Glastonbury, Connecticut, in our lovely little office.
Great. Thanks. Carolyn, good to see you. You are muted, Carolyn. Still can't.
I thought you said Carolyn. Oh, you can't hear me?
I did say Carolyn.
Oh.
I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, hold on. Oh,
We can hear you now.
We can hear you.
You can hear me now?
Carolyn, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Can or can't?
Yes. We
Oh,
can.
okay.
We can
Carolyn
hear you.
Gatesy, Main Street Office Center. Can't hear me.
No, we can. We can hear you.
Oh, you
Megan.
can't?
I can hear you.
Yeah, we did. We heard you.
Okay, last time. Carolyn Gatesy, Main Street Office Center, virtual offices, physical
Perfect.
offices, conference rooms, admins. Thank you.
Perfect. Perfect. Megan.
How you doing, Paul? Megan Lanuette with
Good.
First World Mortgage Corporation, West Hartford and beyond.
Okay. Bill Moran.
Yep, Bill Marone from Tobin and Marone, working out of my office in Glastonbury.
Great. Garrett.
Garrett Ludwig, Diversified Design Technologies here in Glastonbury.
Great. And then I think Kim is the last one. I don't know who. Kim, are you there? You're muted. Oh, she doesn't have a
She
microphone.
wrote in the chat.
Kim
She's
does not have a
saying-
microphone, so
Yeah,
she's
she's
just
saying she
listening.
has no microphone.
Yeah. Okay, no problem at all. Thanks, Kim. And
She
Diane,
did write that
you
she's from
just
Alpha
joined?
Financial Group in Rocky Hill.
Okay, great. Thank you. Diane, you just joined. We're just introducing ourselves, the business, and what town you're in. I'm not sure Diane is ready, but we're good. Well, we move on, and we can introduce Diane down the road. Somebody has an issue. Mary Ellen, did you say that somebody had raised an issue that they'd like to discuss?
I think,
We can start with that.
yes, Katie was going to propose a scenario that they're facing in a law firm.
Yeah, so as you all know, law firms are one of the essential businesses that we've been required to stay open, and we have been open throughout this entire pandemic, with people still continuing to work in the office as well as remotely. So we do have to have some clients come into the office. We have to have some people sign wills. We're still doing real estate closings. So I was just wondering what were some suggestions from the group as to how we can keep ourselves and our client base safe when they've got to come in. And we've been trying to limit it to very quick transactions, get people out as quickly as possible. So that's one of the things we've been doing. But just wanted to facilitate a discussion as to other things that we could do when there isn't an option and we have to have people come into our offices.
Raise my hand.
That's the question on the table. Go right ahead, Carol.
Yes, I'm in a similar situation where we have people coming in. For the past few weeks, we've been open also, but we have our doors closed to our administrative area, and we have windows on those doors, and so people bang on the window when they need something. But I think a really good idea as far as signing documents is to take on the same procedure that a lot of gas stations and everyone else has, which is you hang that big plexiglass piece in between you and the signer, and you leave about 4 inches on the bottom where you can pass the documents back and forth. I mean, I've been doing that for the last couple of months with people, and it works really well. So it's a way to be next to the person, next to the client. You can see them, you can talk to them, but you're not, spitting in their face or anything.
Katie, is it, and maybe this isn't permissible, but are there ways to sign documents electronically? So they get through email and
So a lot of times we can't do it electronically. There are remote notarization processes that have come out. There have been a couple of executive orders regarding that. We've found that for real estate closings, it's very cumbersome to deal with that process. And what we are having to do is trust our clients with documents, like email them some documents that normally they wouldn't have in their possession. and then they sign them over Zoom or FaceTime or something like that. It adds up many, many more steps for us. If you have a client who's very technologically savvy, then that can certainly work for them. But we're finding that a lot of our clients would prefer to just come in very quick and sign. Even what we've been doing is we've been explaining all of the documents over the phone in advance if they have an electronic copy, and then they just come in and actually we can witness their signatures on everything. And of course, when people come into the office, we ask that everybody be wearing masks. All of our staff is. Our reception desk does have the plexiglass. We did put that in. So we do have the plexiglass to protect our receptionist and anyone that she's speaking to. And we also are asking that we don't have anyone congregate around that reception desk. It tends to be where everybody wants to stop and talk. And we've been having to tell people, you can't stop and talk there. You've got to keep moving it along.
Donna, did you have a
Does anybody
hand up
need a
before?
resource
Did you have a
for?
suggestion?
Yes, thank you, Paul. So my situation's a little bit similar and a little bit different. We're considered essential. We work with senior citizens. And so we've been, our business is dramatically down about 25 to 30% operating, and the rest we've been deferring business as much as possible for the safety of all concerned. But what we're doing is we're going out there, you know, with the masks and the gloves. We are, when we're in senior living communities, we are signing waivers that, you know, we don't have a cough, we don't have a fever, our temperatures are being checked. So we're doing what we're supposed to be doing on our end. But what's happening is when we're going into homes where we're working with the adult children of the seniors, because the seniors have either moved out already and now we're helping them to clear out the homes, the adult children are not practicing the same safe practices, despite the fact that we're deliberately scheduling our time in the home with like a 2 to 3 day window so that we're not all in the home at the same time, that there's a gap between the time that our team leaves and their family members come in. And what'll be happening is we'll have a team of 4 in the house. We'll be separated into different rooms, just a social distance, masks and gloves. And then the next thing you know, 3 or 4 family members start walking up the front door and start walking in the house, just disrupting the whole thing. So what I'm finding is that whole boundary thing, you know, where people aren't really respecting it and reciprocating the same way. You guys probably have seen that out and about at gas stations and various places where some people are wearing masks, others aren't keeping the social distance. So that's what we're finding.
Okay, that's another concern, obviously. Before we leave Katie for a moment, I just want to focus on her issue. Garrett, did you have something to say?
Yes, does anybody need a resource for those plexiglass shields?
Yes,
Garrett, why don't you type it in the chat?
Yeah,
I'm sorry?
Type that right in the chat, Garrett. That would be helpful.
Just the name of the resource?
That would be great.
Any contact information that you have would be wonderful.
All right, I'll try to do that.
Well, we have a couple of more people that joined in.
Okay.
After you finish, you may want to introduce themselves.
Yeah, Rob, I don't know if you have a microphone. If you can just introduce your name, occupation, and the town you're in. Well, you may not have a, let me open the chat here. All right, who else joined? Diane, are you available? Can you speak, or do you have a microphone? No? Okay.
We have
All right,
State
we'll
Representative
keep
Jill Barry that joined us.
Oh, I didn't see Jill in the middle. Go ahead, Jill.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jill Barry, State Representative for Glastonbury.
Oh, and there's my co-chair, Steve Weir. You're muted, Steve.
Sorry. Yes, I'm muted. Steve Weir, American Integrity Restoration, and Paul's co-chair of the chamber. He does a much better job than I do. So.
Yeah, but I'm resigning.
Paul, can
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to address Katie's question before we moved on to somebody else. But Katie, I don't know if it's practical for you guys or not, but I've been doing, and I know a real estate attorney out in Farmington that's doing this, and they also have an estate planning group in their office, and they're doing some outside signings. They're fortunate enough that they have some area right where their office is located. I don't know if you guys do or not. I don't, but I've been finding areas. Sometimes I've traveled to the client. Sometimes I've even used a couple of times in a pinch. I've used, now that the weather's getting nicer, of course, it's becoming a little more feasible, where I've gone to Riverfront Park under the pavilion area where the tables are, and just kind of keep things quick. Hopefully it's not too windy of a day. But to the extent that clients want to or need to come in and be face-to-face, maybe that's another option that could work in a pinch for you guys under certain circumstances anyway. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, we do have a picnic table outside. We've had a couple of people say, well, it's a nice day, let's sit outside. We could, get some fresh air, still wear your masks and your gloves if,
Right.
But that's a great idea.
Katie, is it possible to have a room set up where people could just sign and you wouldn't have to, you could witness but via camera? Is there a way to do that, like video camera?
There is, yeah, and one of the executive orders does address that in the remote notarization process, is we can do it through camera. We actually, our School Street office, we did it over through a window. One person on the inside and then one person standing on the porch, and just handed the documents through the window as well, just to have that added barrier between you and the client.
Right. All right. Any other suggestions for Katie?
Yes, I have a suggestion. This is Paul Hoar.
Go ahead.
We have a technology that will disinfect indoor spaces up to 2,000, and we have two units, 2,000 and 3,000 square feet, that will disinfect the air and surfaces 24 hours a day. It's used in hospitals, nursing homes, gyms, homes around the world. And it seemed to me that from an office standpoint, if you wanted to keep the air and surfaces disinfected 24 hours a day, this would be something that we could offer.
That's, if you could pass along that information, Paul, that would be fantastic. It's something I can certainly present to the office.
Sure, I have, how do I get this thing to click in for the chat?
Just click the little icon that says chat and it should open up for you.
I've got it open and I put the website in there for information, but I don't know how to.
Just hit enter.
Oh, just enter.
There you go. We got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
And yeah, I can, if you want to go there, and I have my email. If you wanted to, should I just put my email in there as well?
Sure.
And I will go ahead and email you some information on the technology.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. That's great.
You're welcome.
Donna had brought up her issue with people not maintaining their social distance. In her particular case, it's she's in that person's home or the family home, and other members of the family come in. Any suggestions for Donna with regard to that?
My number one suggestion would be to make sure that you have a dedicated space somewhere, even if it's in the middle of a, if I have to take a call and my wife and I work in the same house and we have 3 kids. So just making sure that everyone knows that there's designated quiet spaces, and scheduling as much as possible, and keeping sort of a more structured office hours for other people has been helpful. across the board. In the mortgage industry, it's obviously a little bit difficult. You want to make sure you're available 24/7, but I think people have been extremely understanding, and there's only so many disclaimers that you can make. I think that that's worked out pretty well. So,
any other suggestions for Donna? I have one. I don't know if this is will work or not, but is there a way for you to make sure the house is locked so that or people can't get in, just can't walk in without you telling them the rules of being in the house while you're there? So it's some kind of a lock or locking mechanism on the front door or back door so that they just can't walk in and start walking around. I know it's their house or the family house, but at least it prevents them from just coming in at once. I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, we've even put things in writing, and we've made it really clear as to what the expectations are in order for our team to come in. We've even delayed starting the job by an entire week to give the family an extra weekend to come in, gave them an extra day after the weekend, and then a couple of days in between for everything to mitigate in the home. Windows open, doors open, the whole 9 yards. We come in on a Friday, 4 days later, next thing you know, 3 family members show up the same time that we're there. So they're just not, they're not abiding by what we're asking. That's all. And we have signed agreements and everything, but it's nothing you can enforce right now. It's just a matter of boundaries and people just not using common sense.
This is not an issue that's going to go away either. I mean, it's going to be around for a while, this particular issue. Would there be something you could put in your agreement that if they come in when you're there, there's an extra charge?
Well, as Paul was talking, and Paul and I have known each other for a while, and I'm familiar with his technology. I've used something similar from a different company in the past many years ago. I'm now thinking that that's something that I could certainly implement, maybe a rental of a piece of equipment, or I purchase a piece of equipment from you, Paul, where I then have that be a mandatory charge that we're going to use that in the home. Paul, I'd be very interested in knowing any statistics that maybe you guys have been doing, any studies recently on like what area of space it helps to mitigate, or for what period of time when there's more than, let's say, 4 people in a 2,000 square foot home, things like that. But that's exactly what I was thinking, Paul, is something long-term, and we can implement that as an extra charge to the client to ensure our safety, because we're wearing masks and gloves to ensure their safety, but they're not reciprocating by wearing masks and gloves to protect me and my team.
Sure. Understand, Donna.
Has anyone on the line, I mean, that would be a question, I suppose, for Katie or someone else, but what are the legal stipulations? In other words, for instance, we deal with appraisers or inspectors who have to go in the house, and they're going in with the understanding that their doors have to all be open, that the lights need to be on in order for us to avoid, putting our hands on things in the house, and for everyone to be able to walk through, including photographers who are still, according to most interpretations of the law right now, are an extension of the essential employees in real estate. So what can and can't people do or put into writing that would allow for them to protect their employees?
I could speak to that a little bit, but it's not my area of expertise. So I think that you're permitted to put anything in writing that's already in an executive order. So if it's already something that the governor has addressed, then you are more than welcome to make signs and put up notices and make people aware that this is your expectation when you go into their home or when they come into your office. And I think you have a right to ask people to leave if they're not abiding by the recommendations and the executive orders that are out there. If someone comes into your place of business, they refuse to wear a mask, I think you can ask them, it is our policy. It's very clearly stated on our door. This is what our policy is. It's for your safety. It's for the safety of our staff members and people who have to continue to work throughout this pandemic. And you can tell them they're not permitted in your office if they're not abiding by those rules and regulations that the governor has put out there. And anybody can correct me if I'm wrong.
That's a good point. That's exactly what I ended up doing. Yeah, I actually asked them to leave I said, with all due respect, if you could, you're not here with masks and gloves. We are. There's too many people in the house right now. I can't have you in the house. So they did turn around and they left.
Garrett, you had put something in the chat about a contribution to sanitizing.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of research right now. In fact, I have a meeting this afternoon with one of my clients. I already spoke with one this morning who had just attended a seminar on this whole system from one of the leading research facilities, COIS, out in Seattle. There's another one down in Florida, Pankey. These are advanced dental treatment, skilled dentistry facilities, but they're also doing independent studies on facilitation of all the COVID issues. One of the things that I think people could look into that would be a good accommodation for areas where you have people, a turnover of people. That's a fogger. They're recommending a 5-micron fogger. So in addition to heating and cooling systems and air purification at the mouth within the treatment rooms, these are all adjunctive things, but the one post cleaning the room. So they go through the room and they cavicide all the surfaces, but they lastly fog their attire. So they have smocks that they will be fogging, and they don't need to change their garments. And it's a very, very safe thing. You could push it, spray it right into your face and it wouldn't be harmful. As I get more research done on this, I'd be happy to share with the chamber. But that's just some insight. I think you could do that independent research on the fogger initially on your own.
Great. Thank you. That's a good suggestion. Thank you very much. I see somebody else joined, at least a new name to me anyway, is Rebecca. Rebecca, could you introduce yourself and your industry and where your office is?
Well, I am actually in East Hartford. I'm actually a private practice mental health office, and I'm currently running on the capacity of doing teletherapy, but I do share my floor with 2 other businesses, and we have a very much shared waiting area. And so I'm concerned about reopening. My office is probably 6 feet, and, I'm trying to make the determination on whether or not I, in the coming months, will need to leave my office space, because it may not be feasible for me to return. And so I'm just trying to get all the information I possibly can. I don't want to leave my office space because, obviously I have clients that, are in need of services, and are currently getting services through teletherapy. But, things are very uncertain right now, and I'm trying to make the best decision possible moving forward. So.
I have a question for you, Rebecca, and maybe this will help clarify the situation a little, and maybe people can offer suggestions. Is that waiting area space, is that a common area for the building, the owner?
No, no. So the second floor is split up by 3 businesses. We have a day spa, there's a yoga studio, and then there is myself. And we are sublet. I'm a sublet to one of the other businesses. And so the common area is the entrance to that main floor, and then there are hallways and seating areas along those hallways that we utilize as places for people to sit when they're waiting. And of course I thought of everybody could go stay in their cars and come in at their respectable times, but it's just that whole piece of, them coming in, and of course I'm concerned about how space is, because I'm responsible for my cleaning of my office, but I'm not responsible for cleaning the rest of it, and so I know we need to continue to have dialogue, the 3 businesses, but I'm just trying to, as I said, try to figure out how we how I can potentially continue in that space, or, do I just continue to be teletherapy permanently, so it's.
Is one of the other tenants or the people on your floor, do they own the building?
No.
Or is there another owner?
No, there is another owner.
Okay. Now, would the owner be responsible for that common area because he owns the building?
That is a very good question. That I am not sure. Obviously, one would think he would be responsible for the staircase that goes up to the second floor. Obviously, he's responsible for all the heating ducts and, all of that stuff. And there isn't any, any kind of communication that I have received as of yet as the subletter from, that has come from the landlord in regards to how the landlord is planning on moving forward either. So,
Okay.
so that, I know I have mass confusion.
Is there an option for you to meet people somewhere else? With the nice weather, we're seeing more and more, just like Katie alluded to. We're doing almost exclusively outdoor closing at this point.
Right.
If it's nice weather. So,
issues with places like parks and things like that, would be HIPAA compliance.
Public.
Right. And not that I run around with a name tag that says, "Hi, I'm a mental health therapist," but, but I know it's one of the big questions I think we've always had in our field is like, how can we get more of nature into therapy? But it's not like I can say, hey, I can just, borrow somebody else's office. There has to be, sure, there are probably other ways I could sublet somewhere else, but it's, it's just that whole piece of, trying to, figure out where that is, because if that was a necessity.
Is it possible to continue your telehealth until things change?
Well, that's a very good question. Yes, you can. However, in many of the insurance companies currently have given deadlines. I know it's something that the state is working on. I've been talking to Jill Berry a great deal in regards to the concerns that I've been having with what the insurance companies are setting precedents. They have given the deadline of June. Some of them, not all of them. Husky has stepped forward and said, hey, we're going to continue this continuance of teletherapy until, further notice, at least on the mental health side, but there are insurance companies like Anthem and others that are saying, well, we're giving you until June. And then some of the plans are not going to cover, and so it's, so that's the concern, especially when you're 100%, you're 100% taking insurance, that's definitely a concern, so. But I know that I know the state's working on that, so.
Rebecca, I have a quick suggestion regarding that question about the common areas. Do you have a written lease? It should indicate in your lease who's responsible for the common areas.
Yeah. So it is. So supposedly, from my understanding with the lease, is that the cleaning of the spaces, or it does fall upon the person that I'm subletting from. But again, I'm still waiting to hear in regards to what the plan is. I think they're still trying to figure out themselves how they want to open. So it's I don't think everything is clear. But at some point. I'm going to need to and I know I've been hearing a lot from other colleagues throughout the state, they're letting their leases go, and because it's not feasible to keep a brick and mortar going, when we're not utilizing it, and so it's, so that's the other thing. So I'm just, as I said, I'm just trying to figure out for me what is in the best interest moving forward. So.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Any other, Carolyn, you have a suggestion or question? You're muted. I still can't hear
No.
How about now?
Now we can hear you.
There we go.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Nope.
Rebecca, I have an office building and rent individual spaces, which is probably very much like the situation you are in.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been emailing everyone every week with, different rules, regulations, what's happening, what's not happening. And with May 20 coming upon us, I have new guidelines. And we've been doing this for 2 months anyway. So our common areas all have disinfectant that we spray every day.
Okay.
We have hand sanitizers next to copy machines and any common areas. We have gloves available in the kitchen for anyone who needs gloves.
Mm-hmm.
I think what's important for you to do, since you're a sublet, you're in a unique situation. So if I were you, I would approach the 2 other people that are on your floor. And, I wouldn't count on my landlord doing anything for me, but I would approach them. Well, unfortunately, but I would approach those 2 other people.
Unfortunately, I know the landlord has been very difficult in years prior, and I've been a sublet for 6 years, and so and I think this is why it's also making this such a hard process for me, because I've been there for 6 years,
Right,
and
right.
so
approach the other 2 people and do your own thing. That's the only way you're going to get anywhere and get what you want, because those people also sound like they have clients that come in from the outside. So you all have to protect yourselves and your clients.
Right.
In our building, a lot of people do let people stay in their car until it's their time, because they don't want them to come in and sit in a common area. But we also have a lot of different common areas. So you could sit by yourself somewhere. But I think the only way to accomplish anything, given what you said, is for you to get together with the other lessees and do your own thing. Talk to Garrett about that fogger or something, and just approach it yourself and do it daily. Take turns.
Yeah, no, because I'm definitely concerned about, I know it's a brand new heating system that went in the last year, but again, that's also the air conditioning. How do we, get that stuff taken care of? Because if the landlord isn't willing to do anything, that's also a concern too. And I guess my question is what legal obligation does the landlord have to us to help with that space? Even though, even I know he's not legally obligated to me as the sublet, but he's legally obligated from the person who is there, that is actually their leases with,
Right,
so
but he's only obligated to what's in the lease, what's in the agreement.
Okay.
You can, Katie may say that's different, that I'm not correct, but he's only obligated to what's in the lease. If he doesn't say he's going to snowplow, then he's not snowplowing. So he's not going to run through your building with a defogger. Yeah, but he's not going to run through the hallways with a defogger. He's.
And I think that this whole area presents so many questions we've never had to think about before. So I think the simple answer is yes, look at the lease terms. But the more difficult answer is, do the lease terms cover this type of situation? We don't know. I'm sure there's going to be ways around it, and there are going to be different arguments that each side is going to make. But I would think that a landlord would want to err on the side of caution, given that it's if they're going into the building, it's their safety and their family safety that's at risk too. But that's the common sense approach that not everybody has.
Right.
Boy, that's true. That's very true.
Yeah, no.
Great. It's a great discussion. Any other suggestions for Rebecca? All right. Hearing none.
Thank you, everybody.
Move on. Thank you, Rebecca. That was very, very well timed. Anyone else with any issues or problems that we should try to address or help with?
I think, Jason, were you going to share something?
No, actually, we pretty well discussed most of it and we're past it. You know, we transitioned our operations to be mostly all paperless. Those areas of it, specifically e-signatures, we've implemented or we're starting to implement. So, you know, we're pretty decently configured to isolate in the office, but we're not typically in any rush to do it because we are able to carry out our operations as we are. So we're kind of just in a wait and see pattern and going to see what all the other businesses around us do and how everything shakes out before we implement some sort of rotating schedule back at the office. But you know, we've done most of our remote work. It's translated pretty nicely to it. So we're operating as we'd want to, and we're going to stay that way for the near future until there's some more movement on or need to get back to the office.
Very interesting. I also am in insurance, and we're doing exactly the same thing. You know, working from home when most of the time, and if we need to go into the office, it's just for a short period of time. So it's not a big issue for us.
Paul, may I ask a question?
Certainly.
So we're maybe a little bit larger than a lot of the other organizations here, because we're over 100 people, but we have 9 different branches. So in our particular branch, I guess the challenge is who should be coming back in the office, and how are your offices approaching it? So Jason, you alluded to the titrating up and doing the alternating schedules and all that. Is it with the understanding that people are using their own judgment, or is that coming from the top down where they're asking, or even, I suppose you could call it requiring, although I'm not sure how well that would hold up in this context, people to come back? How are you all handling that right now?
I'd say just from our perspective, discussions have just started, and it's not going to be a requirement to go into the office. There are maybe a third of our staff that has indicated that they'd like to, maybe just to escape their homes and the other, distractions that may or may not be there. But it would be on a voluntary basis, and there would be some sort of coordinated schedule if more than say a couple people that would be on the same floor at this point. But there's nothing finalized. There is one of the owners does go to the office, but they're the only one to do so on a regular basis.
And I think just as a caution, you have to be a little bit careful about requiring people to come in, because a lot of people have medical issues that they're not required to tell their employer about. So if someone says, I have an autoimmune disease, but I don't want to specify exactly what that is, then requiring someone like that to come into the office, you might run into some problems with that. And I think the executive order is still going to be encourage people to work from home where you can. So if people are still being productive at home and they present to you, hey, I have this issue, I don't really want to tell you what it's about, then you've got to still continue to let them work from home if they can.
So that's an interesting problem we're having, where we're trying to get people to come back in the office where it's possible. It just makes for the best communication scenario, frankly, regardless of the fact that it could be a little challenging for some. But problem we're finding is some people who prefer to work from home, how do you differentiate that? And I guess really what I'm hearing you're saying is if people say that they, for whatever reason, need to stay home, there are very few questions you can ask, and that's an appropriate response from their part, I guess.
Right.
Okay.
I think what's happening is we're finding out that people are going to volunteer to go into the office, at least for in the short term, come in. Anything else for Megan? Any other suggestions? Any other issues that people have that they would like to discuss?
So I might pipe up a little bit.
Sure, Tom.
I'm with ADT Commercial, and I'm an outside sales rep. And fortunately, most everybody that I'm calling on is also in a commercial office building that sent their employees home. So when I've been going into those situations, we're generally wearing masks. The customer's wearing a mask, and there's not a lot of people around. I have been in a few where it's a little bit uncomfortable. To Donna's point, you know, and I basically just made it clear that I can't go in that room, and kind of looked in the door and just given it that. So I've got some options that she doesn't. As a company, we are looking at addressing some long-term solutions that we feel like we can back in terms of detecting elevated skin temperature through thermal imaging camera systems, not as an end-all be-all, but as an identifier for high volume places like, say, a school or a government building, to kind of pick out people, wait a minute, that person may have a fever, that they can then be pulled aside and tested real quickly with a more, you know, accurate kind of device. And also hardware for frequently touched doors and things like that, that is antimicrobial, as well as purification systems using UV light for frequently handled tools. You know, dental offices came up, and I know that they use that kind of a system now. We're also like cash handling, where the cash can be put into a cabinet with the UV light to be disinfected. But all of those, and this is the thing about what we're dealing with, all of those are just small parts of a bigger piece of a solution. For instance, that camera, it can tell if somebody has an elevated skin temperature, but that might be because they just jogged or rode a bike to work instead of drove in a car with the air conditioner on. And so you still have to pull that person aside and do additional screening. So, and that's kind of what we're all dealing with, is obvious from a lot of the comments. So I'd be happy to talk with anybody about the solutions that we're bringing to the table. We actually have a training that I take today at 4, so it's a little bit late for this meeting to go into exactly what we have and what we can say and what we can do to offer to assist. But we will have some solutions out there for businesses. But it is very tough, especially in small business, because I know these the elevated skin temperature sensor cameras are going to be quite expensive as well. So because of the technology that's in them. So I just wanted to offer all that. But being out there in sales, I'm with everybody that's walking into situations, and it is frightening sometimes to think about what we're putting ourselves into. To Rebecca, I would say I've been doing we take advantage of some mental health counseling in the house, and doing it on computer and on screen has not really, at least, affected our experience of it. So I would say that's been a positive. Hopefully the insurance companies will give on that. I would think it'd be more expensive in the long run if the virus surges back because of practices like that. But that's all I'll say at this point. Thanks.
Tom, I think that's so interesting about the antimicrobial door handles and UV lights and all the things that 2 months ago or 3 months ago we wouldn't even have considered. I mean, things have come along so far that we're starting to talk about that type of those types of technologies almost now. Very interesting.
Well, and especially, I mean, we've always been concerned with life safety. We do, you know, fire systems and things to help save lives and evacuate buildings and really notify the police if there's, you know, panic buttons and that kind of thing. But now we're talking about, you know, getting into health safety proactively for companies and government entities, districts, and that kind of thing that are going to be interested in that. So, yeah.
Great. Thank you. Anything else? Anyone else have any issues that they'd like to raise? Questions they have? Looking around the screen, I don't see any. Any final comments from anyone? It's about 5:01. We're almost an hour. This meeting was different than the meeting we had yesterday with the gyms and fitness studios, etc. Very, very interesting. The difference in the challenges that we're facing. I know, Donna, go ahead.
I just wanted to remind everybody, in case you don't know, you can save the chat in the group chat by clicking on the 3 dots on the bottom right. So people have been posting information out there, phone numbers and contacts. So that you don't lose that information, you need to do that before you log off.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for that. Mary Ellen, I think I'm all set. Anything you'd like to add?
I would just like to mention, we're having 2 more of these group meetings, and you can pass it on to any colleagues that you may know. We're going to have one next Wednesday for restaurants and retail. Of course, that's the day they're opening, but not all of them are opening, so we think that people will be interested in still talking. And then on Thursday next week, we're going to have one for nonprofit organizations. So they're open. Like Paul said, each one is a little bit different because people are at different stages of their business. I do want to thank Jill Berry for being with us, State Representative Jill Berry, and Michael Daniels from the town of East Hartford Economic Development. We really appreciate your being here today. All of you, of course, and Paul Haas, thank you for facilitating. We recorded this, we'll put it up so you can pass it along or view it. And thank you very much. We appreciate you being here.
Thanks, everybody. Stay safe. And